They believed freedom was finally within their reach. As fugitives, they had planned every single detail: the stolen car, the hidden safe houses, the new identities waiting just across the border. They were willing to do whatever it took to vanish completely. So, when they spotted a lone woman running along the trails, they didn't think twice. To them, she was just another obstacle, another pawn in their escape. Bruised, exhausted, she looked like an easy target. But looks can be deceiving. They had absolutely no idea who they had just taken. A Delta Force commander. A woman with over 20 successful missions in some of the most brutal war zones on the planet. What was meant to be a simple kidnapping? It would spiral into a full-scale nationwide manhunt, flipping the script, turning the hunters into the hunted as she clawed her way back from the brink. The men who once felt untouchable, they would watch in terror as their carefully laid plans unraveled, safe houses exposed, allies taken down one by one. This isn't just a story of survival against impossible odds. This is the story of how 8 ruthless fugitives thought they had won, until they realized they had kidnapped the absolute worst person possible. Before we dive in, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. And don't forget to subscribe. Naomi Cole pushed herself harder, her steps rhythmic as she ran along the dirt trail. Over an hour in, she kept her pace steady, the crisp morning air filling her lungs. The national park stretched endlessly around her, dense forests in every direction, peaceful, isolated. That isolation, it was part of the appeal. After years in the military, constantly surrounded by people, never able to fully lower her guard, running gave her space. A moment to think. A moment to forget. But something felt off. A flicker of movement to her right, a shadow slipping between the trees. She didn't react, kept her breathing controlled, her pace steady. She wasn't armed, wasn't expecting trouble. But she had learned long ago to trust her instincts. Just minutes ago, the forest had been alive with the sounds of birds and insects. Now, silence. Up ahead, just off the trail, a black SUV sat awkwardly near the tree line, its driver's side door wide open. Naomi slowed, glancing at her watch like she was checking the time. The vehicle was coated in dust, the license plate barely visible. No one was inside, but she could see movement beyond the trees. More than one person. Then, footsteps. Behind her. She turned, too late. A man was already lunging. Naomi shifted her weight, sidestepped. He stumbled forward. Tall, thick arms covered in tattoos, sunburned, unshaven. She barely had time to process before 2 more figures stepped out from the trees, blocking her path. Another emerged from behind the SUV. 8. 8 men in total. She sized them up in seconds. Prison uniforms torn and dirty, mixed with stolen civilian clothes. Some clutched makeshift weapons, pipes, a crowbar, a hunting knife. They looked like they had been running for days. That didn't make them any less dangerous. A man with slicked-back hair stepped forward, leaner than the rest, but confident. He smirked. "No need to run. You're exactly what we needed." Naomi tensed. She didn't know who they were, didn't know what they wanted. But one thing was certain. They had been waiting for her, and she wasn't about to go down without a fight. Her stance stayed neutral, breathing steady, but her mind already analyzing. 8 men, all rough, all tense, all expecting her to react a certain way. They had boxed her in, blocking the trail ahead, cutting off her escape from behind. It wasn't a sloppy formation, but it wasn't professional either. These weren't trained men. No, they were hardened by something else. Prison. The leader stepped forward, just enough to establish his dominance. Lean build. slicked back hair, worn leather jacket. He carried himself like someone who thought he was untouchable. The others lingered behind him, waiting for his lead. That told Naomi everything she needed to know. He was in charge. "You're a long way from help," he said smoothly. His voice was calm, almost friendly. But Naomi wasn't fooled by that kind of tone. Not exactly a great place to be alone, wouldn't you say? She didn't flinch, didn't look away. She had spent too much time in too many war zones to be intimidated by men who thought numbers made them powerful. "Seems to me you're the ones with the problem." Her voice was even, controlled. A few of them chuckled, but it wasn't real laughter. It was the kind laced with uncertainty. The leader smirked, tilting his head. "You don't know what's going on, do you?" He gestured lazily toward the SUV. "Take a guess." She didn't need to. She had already figured it out. "You broke out of prison," she stated.